Now, had I just left my show set the way that it was, that would make for a pretty boring show. If I play for my typical length, which would be like an hour and a half or 2 hours, I'd want more to do for me personally and for my audience. And the real key to that is being able to manipulate different effects and things that a typical DJ probably wouldn't necessarily have at their disposal if they're just working with two turntables or CDJs or something like that. So let's dive deeper into how this is set up and how we can take advantage of it. I have my 4 decks set up so that everything is going to be running through the same series of effects. So how does that work? Let's bring up my returns, my sends, and my inputs and outputs, and let's discuss the routing of this set very quickly. Normally, your audio from your tracks goes directly to the master. This particular percussion track is going directly to the master, and that's the default behavior for your audio and MIDI tracks. The audio goes directly to the master. Now, what I wanted to do is make it so that I could have all 4 decks run through the same group of effects, so I could just MIDI map the effects once, and then that way, no matter what's playing on any deck, I can manipulate it with the same group of effects. So I did that by making the audio, instead of going directly to the master, I have it set to sends only on the audio 2 tab, which means that the audio is going to go wherever I send it using my send knob before it hits the master. So my 4 decks are all being sent to my A send. They're all being sent to the A return. My A return has a slew of effects on it, some of my favorites: beat repeat, stutter edit by Isotope, Insta Jungle, which good luck finding this one, and then auto filter. So I wanted to be able to MIDI map these effects on just my user page that also has my crossfader, that also has my scene select buttons and clip play buttons, and basically manipulate everything from this one page. So that's one thing that I can do to make the show a lot more exciting and engaging. Another thing that makes it a lot more engaging for the audience is that if, when I'm pressing something, there's some sort of visual feedback, so they realize that I'm not just touching a dead controller that's not plugged in, but something actually happened. So let's explore this. Now, again, in order to make it so that all these different clips go through this return channel, I just set it up so that my audio 2 tab, instead of going to master, which is the default, it's set up to go to sends only. I've turned up the ascend on all of these all the way, so when audio plays, it's going to have to go through this series of effects. Now, the thing is, I want to be able to map these effects to certain buttons on my controller, and then also set up some dummy MIDI clips, which are clips that are set up just to give me light feedback so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm not going to do this for absolutely everything, but I'll set up a little bit. This will give you a good idea of where to go. So for example, let's say my Insta Jungle effect. This is an effect that'll take the incoming audio and make it repeat based on certain note divisions. Let me give you a quick example of how this works. We go into, what tune is this?
Don't be mad at me, when I do my thing, do my thing, do my thing, do my thing, do my thing.
So if I turn this on,
Don't be mad at
and change the button value,
me when I do my thing. I stare and I bling like a grizzly. Don't be mad at me.
so that'll be a good example for us to play around with. So what I want to be able to do is basically map the on-off button to a button on my Launchpad Pro, map the button value to a row of buttons so I can choose the specific repeat value that I want, and then be able to set up some dummy clips that'll give me light feedback so I can tell where I left the button value at. So first things first, let's MIDI map this. I'll go into my MIDI map mode, hit MIDI. I have an on-off button right here. I know my bottom row is set up to control my crossfader. I'm going to make the row above it control Insta Jungle. And I have an on-off button. I'm going to make it so my on-off button is actually controlled by this button here. So I click this, hit that. Double is now set to turn Insta Jungle on or off. My button value 1, this is basically the duration of the part that's repeating. And as we now know, I can map a whole row of buttons to act like a virtual fader. So I'm going to map this row of buttons to control my button value here. Hold the first button in the range. While holding that, press the last one in the range. Now I have that whole range mapped to this. Now the thing is, I think I'd like to narrow this range a little bit. So I'm going to make the maximum a little bit less than 0.1. We'll make this like 0.7, something like that. All right, so now let me play my clip again.
Don't be mad at me when I do my thing. Don't be mad at me. thing.
Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But the thing is that there's no light coming on, so I have no idea where I last left my insta-jungle effect at. I also have no idea where my crossfader was left at. There's no light feedback. So we can remedy this pretty easily, and once I do this, this will give you the ammo that you need to take this concept as far as you want in terms of generating light feedback, giving yourself some useful information as you're looking at your Launchpad. What I want to do here is set up 2 blank MIDI tracks. There goes 1, and there goes 2. And inside of each blank MIDI track, I'm going to create 8 blank MIDI clips, and you will see why very shortly. So there goes 1 there, and I will simply Command D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we'll do the same thing over here. Here goes 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So one of these is going to be for my crossfader. One of these is going to be for insta-jungle. And let's just go ahead and do insta-jungle first. So I've mapped this row of buttons here to control the button value of insta-jungle. All I have to do is make it so that each button is also going to launch one of these clips. If the button is sending an on-off message, if it's turned something on, the button will light up. And the clip only has 2 states. It's either playing or it's not. So basically when it's playing, it's on. When it's not playing, it's off. So that's how we're going to trick our pads here into lighting up. So let me go into my MIDI map mode. And I'm simply going to just map each one of these pads to one of the clips here. And I'm going to do the same thing for this track here for the pads that are currently mapped to my crossfader. And basically what will happen is that whatever the last button was that I touched, it's going to trigger a clip. That clip will light up and play. The button that triggered it will also light up, and it'll be quite nice. Now this isn't going to be the total solution, but this is the start of giving us some nice light feedback. So let me go back to my little Don't Be Mad at Me trap song.
Don't be mad at me, when I do my thing. Don't be mad at me, Don't be mad at me, when I do my thing. Like a don't be me, when I do my thing.
All right, so now we have some visual feedback, okay? One last thing I want to do though before I leave this. If you might notice, when I first hit the button, it's orange, and then it suddenly changes to white. Also, if I'm sliding my finger across, some of the buttons will stay on longer than they should. There's a few different reasons for this. The main thing is that these clips, they adhere to our clip launch quantization, which is over here. And I don't want them to do that. I want to make it so that each time I launch or trigger one of these clips, it immediately changes. So I'm going to select all of these clips. I'm going to go way down here to the lower left-hand side of my screen, and there's a button that says L. These are the launch properties of our clips. In the launch window, there's quantization, and I'm going to change the quantization from global, which means it's going to slave to this, and we're going to change it to none. I'll do the same thing with these clips over here. Quantization goes to none. And now, we'll play my little trap song again.
Don't be mad at me, when I don't be me, do my thing. Don't be mad at me,
and there we go.
When I do my thing.
So now we got some more light feedback. It's reacting more quickly. And by using these dummy clips, we can get light feedback for any parameters that we happen to be controlling. And this, combined with the visual metronomes that we talked about a little bit earlier, all these things in tandem make for a much more engaging visual show that can really engage your audience, but letting them know that when you press something, something actually happens. It goes a long way.